Thank you, and thanks for the opportunity. And I would counter a little bit about the dismal experience, because I think we've made a lot of tremendous inroads over the last 5 or 6 years, because, and surprisingly, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with the comments that came up here, because we heard that from our employees 5 and 7 years ago about schedules and about volatility in schedules, about unpredictability, about who has the control of the schedule. Is it the manager or the employee? And through the process of engagement surveys every year with our employees, we have 175,000 employees in our organization, of which about 80,000 are part-time, so a very large part-time workforce. We hire about 85,000 people, I think, this holiday season for the holidays. So we heard 5, 6 years ago about the concerns people had about their scheduling and how it impacted their engagement and also their ability to serve the customer. Because if they're not satisfied at home, and if they're struggling and stressed at home when they come into the workplace, then they're not going to be helping the customer in a way that's going to help our whole organization grow and help that customer ultimately. So through the surveys that we received a lot of feedback on, and it was creating stress for our managers who had to produce schedules as well, produce stress on the employees because they were being, in essence, at the whim of the manager, if you will, back, in the control of the business. And we knew that we had to change the paradigm, that we had to create a model where the employees can have the flexibility and control over their schedules and be able to work the hours that they choose. So it took a bit of a leap of faith, but we developed a strategy called My Schedule Plus at Macy's, where we have basically someone who joins the company or is working at the company can sign up for 5 different types of schedules. One of them could be 5 days a week, 4 days a week, 3 days a week, or I'll just take hours when I want to take. And before they even start, they tell us the days that they're not available to work, so that the restrictions are there out of the get-go. And what will happen is, if I'm picking a 5-day schedule, I might be assigned 2 or 3 days within my availability. And someone with a 3-day schedule might have 1 day on their availability. But then they basically use their mobile phone to pick up shifts through the rest of the week of when they would like to work. And basically they will choose, well, if I have childcare issues and I want to work mornings, but I could work a Saturday evening, or my spouse is home on the weekend and I'll take the weekend hours and then take time off during the week. It was quite a bit of a leap of faith, in a sense, of how do you shift the paradigm from let me put out your schedule to let you pick a schedule that's available 9 to 16 days ahead of time. In fact, for holiday this year, we've published 7 weeks of schedules already done. So it's not a question of when am I working on December 13th. I know today when I'm working on December 13th. And so how do you build that? And we found, by putting that in place, the engagement levels started to dramatically increase in our rank and file. Managers felt better about their jobs because they weren't put in that situation of they could coach and work on engagement. And also, our operations people, because a lot of times people, when you're looking from the outside in, you think, well, HR must be doing this. But, big stores are operational engines, right? I mean, it's, your sales a year, hopefully as far in advance as possible, the scheduling, the costs and whatnot. So how do you collaborate with our operations people and HR people to create an environment of in a sense, trust and empowerment in our workforce, that they know that, gosh, by allowing the employees to pick their shifts and do these kinds of things, then that will be something that will still be able to open the store and run the store. And I have to say, through all of that angst and change initially, we have 98% of our shifts covered through this program. Thanksgiving was a voluntary day, to be able to open. Associates volunteered to say, I'm coming in that day, and most of them used that to take Black Friday off and say, I've never shopped on Black Friday in retail in my life. I'll work Thanksgiving evening, but I'm going to be able to go out at, I don't know why, 5 in the morning to go shopping the next day, but those kinds of things, just by creating that sense of, so it's not for us, it's not just a scheduling and productivity issue. It's a trust and empowerment issue of giving people that, I'll call it, as Secretary Perez calls it, that voice in the workplace. And we have this in place in our, our 35, I think we have 35 stores that are covered, that have union contracts. We have this in our non-union stores, across the country, and it works, it works quite well for us. And the reason I'm here, I mean, and we met with the Secretary of Labor back in July, and it was, how do we create a forum to at least share some of these practices that are, more broadly, and use it as an uplifting strategy, not necessarily a stick strategy, if you will. The other aspect that allows us the flexibility you're talking about, we had to break the model of, gee, I can only work in domestics, in housewares, in women, in juniors, or what have you. We're working hard at allowing people, and doing it today, of taking hours across the store. So it's not necessarily you're bound to one department that may not have a big seasonal push. So not only taking hours across the store, but we're now actually, I would say, beta testing, or we've started already, taking hours in nearby stores. For Macy's. So if I am in a location where I can commute to another Macy's store, I can also pick up hours in other stores. So all of that is a win-win, because we can give the associate, the hours that they need built on their core schedule, and also the flexibility of the company to meet its needs for the consumer.